We back in the kitchen again. Today we're going to be making some Vietnamese beef stew. Bok Choy. It's really good. We're going to make it as low carb as possible. Typically there's a whole bunch of carrots in it, but I'm going to omit the carrots and we're going to add some other stuff to make it really good. But it should be like a really good beef soup. It's not really a stew, it's a soup, but it's super good. I think you guys will like it. It's got some spice to it. It's going to be real nice. So let's go ahead and make this. I think you guys are going to love it. Let's go. All right, guys, there's a lot of stuff in this, and as always, everything will be in the description below. But basically, we're using beef stock, coconut water. I found the lowest carb one I could. That one is 10 carbs per cup, and then it calls for 2 cups. But if you divide it by how many servings this is gonna make, that's less than 3.3 grams of carbs per serving. So you could omit the coconut water if you really want to try and cut down carbs and just use regular water. I'm not going to worry about it. I do the 1 meal a day, so it'll easily fit into my macros. Just one thing you could possibly omit, but I got some bok choy, lemongrass, Chinese 5-spice, ginger, tomato paste. I got some stew meat, but you can use like chop up brisket. Any kind of meat that's kind of fatty that you can cube up would work great for this. Got some annatto seeds. Really, you want ground annatto, but I couldn't find any, but I found the seeds, so I'm gonna ground them up. Whole star anise, and a bunch of other stuff. As always, guys, like I said, in the description below will be everything, but we're just gonna start going through it and you guys can follow along. I got about 2.5 pounds of stew meat here. And like I said, you could use brisket, you could use anything you want, really. Just as long as you can cube it up into some nice sizes. And the first thing we're gonna wanna add is 2 teaspoons of the 5-spice powder. You can find this at most stores, but just 2 teaspoons of that. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of the brown sugar substitute. A packed teaspoon of that. Now we're gonna wanna add 5 tablespoons of fish sauce. Then I'm gonna add a tablespoon of minced ginger. And I'm gonna add a tablespoon and a half of garlic, minced garlic. Once you get all that in there, guys, go ahead and mix it up so all the meat is fully coated. You wanna get the meat nice and coated so it can marinate for at least 30 minutes. I wanna take some lemongrass, and then we're gonna wanna remove like the outer portion that's kind of woody and brittle. Like that. And then we're going to want to cut it into about a couple big pieces. We want about 3 big pieces, so I'm going to use about 1.5 stalks here. And then just take the back of your knife, just kind of bruise it up. That helps release some of the flavor. Then we're going to take about 1/2 of a white onion, and we're just going to cut that into some real thin slices. Take a little bit of your last piece of lemongrass and just go ahead and mince about 1 tablespoon worth of minced lemongrass. Well, our beef has been marinating for 30 minutes. We got everything else prepped up. We're going to start out by adding about 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. We're gonna go ahead and let that melt. Once the oil's up to temp and hot, go ahead and add those 3 pieces of lemongrass that we had and let those cook for about 1 minute in the oil just to kind of release some of their flavor into the oil. And then to that, we're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, or if you have garlic cloves, and let that go for about another minute. For another minute, go ahead and add your minced lemongrass and the onion. We're gonna go ahead and cook this till the onion starts to turn a little bit translucent. Our onions are nice and translucent. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our marinated beef. Go ahead and mix that up as best you can. And then we're gonna let this go on high heat until all the beef is brown on all sides. Alright guys, so the beef's all brown. Now we're going to add 4 tablespoons of tomato paste and let that cook for 5 minutes. about a teaspoon of black pepper, a 2-star anise. We're gonna add a teaspoon of the ground annatto, about a half a tablespoon of paprika, 2 cups of the coconut water, 4 cups or a whole quart of the beef stock, and 2 cups of water. We're gonna go ahead and mix that up and let it come to a boil. As far as noodle options go, guys, you have really any choice you want. You can use the Shirataki, like better than noodle style, which is kind of like a thin rice noodle, or you could use the fettuccine if you want like a thicker, heartier noodle soup. I'm gonna use the fettuccine ones for this soup, but either one would really work great. They're pretty much about the same. It just depends if you like a fatter or thinner noodle. So I'm gonna use the fettuccine style. Just go ahead and cook them per the package instructions. All right, guys, so now we've got a nice boil going on that. We're just gonna reduce the heat to medium simmer, and we're gonna let this just simmer for about an hour, and then we're gonna come back to it. As far as garnish goes, guys, you're gonna want all the usual suspects: cilantro, green onion, jalapenos, lime. So go ahead and prep that up while you're waiting. We've been simmering for about an hour. All the meat's getting real tender. And then I'm gonna add bok choy to this. Normally there's a lot of carrots in here, but taking those out, and I'm gonna use bok choy instead. But the bok choy doesn't take very long to cook, so right now I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. And 2 tablespoons of chili oil. You can usually find the chili oil at your supermarket or any Asian store. Just go ahead and mix that all in. So I'm gonna let that simmer about another 15 minutes or so, and then we're gonna add the bok choy at the very end because it's not gonna take very long to cook. Alright, so here's a bok choy. It's a great low carb addition to any soup like this. Some of these real thick ones like that, sometimes I'll take them and cut them in half. But just go ahead and prep up maybe about a cup and a half's worth for the soup. Some of the smaller ones I'll just leave them whole like that. Because really we just want to cook them until the stem part is tender. About 15 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and add the bok choy to this, and then we're just going to keep simmering until the stalks or the thicker parts of the bok choy are tender. The stems of the bok choy are all soft, so we can go ahead and plate some up. Let's grab a bowl of some noodles. And you don't want to actually eat the lemongrass, guys, or the star anise. You can discard those, but they're just in there really to add the flavor as the soup cooks. Alright guys, so there you go. That's my edition of Vietnamese beef stew. It's super good, guys. It's got a great rich flavor, spicy, and then of course you want to garnish with your cilantro and green onions. Squeeze some lime juice in there and just throw some jalapenos on top. It's gonna be great, guys. You're gonna love it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. If you do, please hit that bell button to get notifications when we post vids. And then you'll always see what's coming up next. If you guys try this recipe, please let me know and tell me what you think, what you liked, what you didn't like. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.